Hey guys, I've got an interesting one for you today. This is about OneCarStereo. That's the brand, OneCarStereo. I found it on Amazon, and it is an Android head unit with an 8-core CPU, and it has things like wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, which is what we normally look for. But what makes this particularly interesting is it's kind of a mashup between an Android head unit and a big brand head unit, because it has 50-watt outputs across 4 different channels. And it says it has 4-volt RCA Preouts as well. And that's something that the audiophiles amongst us look for, and tends to be the reason why they don't go for Android head units. So this could very well be the best of both worlds, and it could be the best Android head unit that I've ever tested. But we're going to wait and see. Let's check it out. So I've never heard of OneCarStereo before, but I found this on Amazon, and it has lots of positive reviews. But what I did notice is all the positive reviews come from people who received it for free. So you never really know how good it is based on those types of reviews, because the company's effectively bought them. So I'm intending to actually make sure that it is actually a good head unit by running it through the usual tests that we do on this channel. Now, the other thing about this head unit, as I said before, is it's supposed to be rather powerful from an amplifier perspective, because it does have those 4 channels of 50-watt outputs and the 4-volt Preouts. And that is normally the reason why people don't buy Android head units, because they only have very low current going through the RCA output. So if you ever want to use an aftermarket amplifier, they're not as good as sort of the likes of Pioneer, Sony, Alpine, you know, those kinds of brands. So this one actually having 4-volt Preouts on the RCAs is actually rather good. And the other thing that makes this quite cool is it has a USB-C in the front of it as well. So that's going to be great for fast charging your phone, which is again something which is not necessarily given when you buy an Android based head unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out of this box. I'm going to set it up in the car, and then we're going to have a play and see how good it is. But as usual, before I do that, let me just tell you, I don't get paid to endorse any company or products, including this thing from OneCarStereo. So this is more about me giving you my opinion of the product, and you can see whether or not you want to buy it. Right, let's get started. And here it is. And the first thing that I noticed when I got it out of the box is this is a standard double-DIN head unit. It is exactly the same form factor as you get with the likes of the big brands like Sony, Alpine, Kenwood, etc. And that's amazing. And the benefit of that is that it will slide straight into a double-DIN cage as far as you need it to. And one of the issues with Chinese head units is that for some reason they always make this plastic bit at the top of the head unit too wide to actually fit into a cage. But this one does actually fit straight in, so you can have it as deep or as shallow as you need it within the actual car itself. So fitting this thing is going to be an absolute breeze, and it did actually come with the cage as well. So as you can see on the front here, we have a microphone up here, we have a 3.5mm jack for auxiliary input. We have a USB-C. Again, USB-C is a very rare thing on Android head units, but I'm starting to see it more and more. This is actually the second head unit I've seen with USB-C. Enables fast charging. This has a micro SD card slot for videos and music here as well, and a USB-A port. And then what's really lovely about this head unit as well is it has these physical buttons along the bottom here, and that gives it the extra quality, because sometimes you get these head units which only have capacitive touch buttons on them, and this one actually feels really quality. It feels like it's worth the money that we're paying for it. If we have a quick look at the back here, we have an SMA connector for the GPS antenna. We have various other connections which I'll go into in a second, and then we have the FM antenna input here. So also in the box we have that cage, we have a manual, we have a GPS antenna, we have 3 additional USB ports, we have the main loom, which has these split ends so that you can manually connect it to whatever car you need to put it into. We have an analog video and audio input. We have a loom for the front and rear cameras, including power for the cameras as well. We have a loom which has front and rear RCAs along with a subwoofer RCA as well, so you have 5 RCAs, and then you have 2 video outs as well for rear monitors. Then we have a microphone, external microphone, which is great, some radio removal tools, and finally it comes with a remote control, which I guess is a nice touch. Right, let's go and stick it in the car and see what it's like. So here's the OneCarStereo installed in my Saab 9-3. Now this video is going to be quite different than what I had expected when I started it, because ultimately this has annoyed me quite a lot, and you're going to find out why very soon. But I will start with the usual stuff, like fitting it into this car, a breeze. It was very, very easy. It's a standard double din head unit, fits straight into a double din cage, straight into the Saab 9-3 fascia, and connects straight to the Saab 9-3 steering wheel canvas loom. So all of that stuff was very easy. Well, apart from the fact that it doesn't come with an ISO connection, so I did actually have to splice all the individual wires, and that was slightly annoying, but that's normal for any US based head unit. You need to splice them because they don't use the ISO standard over there. Anyway, let's turn it on and see how long it takes to boot up. So that's the ignition on now. And there we go. So very quick boot time, quite like that. I also quite like the screen quality. It's nice contrast. It's quite a lot to do with the fact that they have gone for a high contrast launcher software, black and white. Can't really go wrong with that. It's fine during the day and during the night. It's not going to blind you because of the design of the launcher software. And from a launcher perspective, you have just icons. It's nice and simple. It tells you exactly what it's going to do, and you do have a widget for local music control down here, and you have this very nice analog clock. And again, all of that stuff I really like. The fact is, even now looking at it, it looks great. The way that it fits into the dashboard, it looks factory. It just looks great. You access all your apps by literally going into apps, and as you can see, everything is black and white as well. So they've created their own icons for everything on the screen, so that's nice as well. So if I show you the radio, again, really nice design, high contrast display, which is going to look really nice at night. I kind of like the green touch as well, because this is a Saab. Everything in this car at night is green, and it does have green accents on it as well, so I like it. And as you can see, it does have RDS. Doesn't show the RDS radio station on the actual presets, but that's not the end of the world. It does actually show you in the main screen there, and it has some other data on the radio stations as well as you go through them. Everything's fine so far, right? So the issue that I have with this head unit is that one of the tests that I like to do, and actually the whole point of an Android head unit, is that you can install pretty much whatever apps that you want onto it, because it runs Android, right? And as you can see, this has the Play Store, and it also has Waze and YouTube and you know, all of those bits and pieces on it. So like an Android head unit, like you would expect. However, there is something wrong with this Android head unit, and I don't know if it's because it's a fault of this head unit or if it's all of them, but just made it useless for the purposes of an Android head unit. So for example, we go into the Play Store. The first thing that you need to do with the Play Store is sign in. So you go to sign in, and it says couldn't sign in, there was a problem connecting to accounts.google.com. Now generally speaking, with that type of error, we're talking about network problems, but at the moment it's connected to my phone, my Galaxy Fold 4, and I know that works because I use it for testing all of the other things. But one of the things that I've noticed with this is that all of the other Wi-Fis are pretty low, even though I literally have an antenna for my house Wi-Fi directly in front of the house. It's showing up pretty low. So maybe this is a Wi-Fi related problem, but as I say, my phone is literally in the car with me, so you can see that it's got full strength signal there, but I still can't log into the Google Play Store. But it goes further than that. For example, if I go into Waze, and again, normally I would do a speed test and I'd show you all of that good stuff, but the fact is it doesn't work because there's no data. Like, it's not loading any data for Waze, so I can't show you that. YouTube, same thing again. It will load, it will say it can't connect to the internet. So this is a very big problem because there is no 4G connection. There's no SIM card capability of this Android head unit. The only way that it can access the internet is via Wi-Fi, and nothing I can do will make it connect to any of the networks that I currently have, and I have a lot of different networks. Signal strength excellent, frequency 2.4 gigahertz. Obviously it has the right passcode and everything, it's connected, but no data connection. And everything else is correct. The time is set correctly. Everything else that could potentially cause internet connection issues rectified. So this instantly becomes a non-Android head unit. I mean, it's not the end of the world, because I said at the beginning of this video, this is supposed to rival those big brands like Kenwood and Pioneer, and none of those are Android head units either. They just have the basic functionality of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and the radio and stuff like that. So I will move on swiftly to trying out Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So let me just connect via Bluetooth to the head unit. CarKit K is now connected and it says it's in use. Our speed play is started, and now it is connecting. And now we have Android Auto, and this is what the majority of you are going to be wanting to use. It's going to give you all the navigation and audio. So let's just have a quick look at the map. No, it doesn't have any more or less lag than any of the other head units. So it's totally usable. And yeah, so that's cool. Let's try Apple CarPlay. So I have my trusty iPhone here. CarKit K, that is this unit. Let's just write 0000. Pair connected. Use with CarPlay. Yep, use CarPlay. Yes, there we go. And we have Apple CarPlay, which is awesome. And it does actually look good, and this screen is actually rather nice. It is sharp, it is vivid, and it does actually look good, and it's bright as well, which is one of the other things which is quite important with these types of things. So it does Android Auto and Apple CarPlay pretty well, so those basic features are all good. And the only other thing to talk about this head unit is the audio quality, which is a big selling point of this particular head unit because of its specs. And I can tell you that it does sound very good, and I am extremely impressed with the audio output of this. If we look at the equalizer, you can see that it has various settings. If we go into sound effects, you can see all of these individual settings from the DSP, and as you can see, the subwoofer settings are here as well, and I do actually have my sub connected to this, and it does actually sound rather good whilst it's in this car. There are various sound modes which change the dynamic of the audio within the car, with certain delays to individual speakers and just the general consensus of how it sounds. So I set it on theatre, which I rather like. Settings, it's for you to set sort of specific things about the car to try to get it to sound in the way that you want. I didn't actually notice this before, but actually it has a screensaver, and you can actually choose when it starts so that you don't have the same thing on the screen anymore, and instead you have some dancing. This is the screensaver, and as you can see, it's not fantastic. It is just an animation. It's lagging quite badly, so it's not going to show you, the real output of the audio. But it's great, I guess, for when you're driving and you just want to have something on the screen. Sound effects. This is if you don't want to mess about with a graphic equalizer, you can just set a standard preset and see if you like any of the sounds of those. And then the EQ itself is here. You can change the individual frequencies, and it is quite pinpoint precise with regards to being able to move these up and down. And I find with some of the other Android head units, it's quite hard to do. This one totally fine. And then you do actually have the ability to set presets for what you're doing here just by going into storage, and then you have 6 presets that you can set for your own sound. This does actually sound very good, and it's not just from the standpoint of amplification, which it is quite loud, which is very good, but also the clarity of sound is there, and you can really tell that there is a good amp and a good DSP within this head unit. It's just a shame that the rest of it, the Android aspect of it, doesn't function because there is no Wi-Fi connection. Because if there was a Wi-Fi connection and I could have Spotify installed directly on this, and I could run my own visualization apps and my own navigation software without the requirement for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, this would probably have been one of my favorite head units. But because that stuff doesn't work, because it appears that the Wi-Fi on here just doesn't work, that is a problem. And maybe it's a software issue, maybe it's just a faulty unit, but whatever it is, it's annoying. And yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. And so that is the OneCarStereo Android head unit. If I've missed anything, please just ask in the comments section below, and I'll see if I can answer any questions that you might have. And if there's any Android head units that you'd like me to review in the future, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. Until next time.